I think you should be able to call out whoever the fuck you want, whenever the fuck you want.
I barely know how to use Zoom, man. I'm a retard. So, yeah.
Well, that makes two of us. I couldn't get it to open. That's why it's 6:14 and not 6 o'clock here.
Yeah, it's great when we meme tarts start trying to do some shit. So yeah, always great, man.
We have very, very few things that we're like really good at, and then everything else we're completely fucking retarded.
That's true, man.
So you're calling. So Tony joining us from what will at some point in the near future be Russia.
Yeah.
Are you calling us from the future too, right? It's Saturday.
Yeah, it's it's around midnight now. So yeah, a future for you. Yeah, I mean, what you said, yeah, it's it's funny times we're living in, man.
Yeah, it's fucking clown world, man. Complete fucking clown world. And the same exact shit is happening again. That happened with the COVID hysteria. Like fucking BT did like a great divide over COVID, and you're watching the same shit play out all over again. I don't know anybody cares.
Honestly, I feel like it's kind of it's gotten to another level. It's regarding COVID, when it started, I had the feeling there was a lot of people on Bitcoin Twitter that right away called out bullshit, although there was a lot of alarmists and stuff, but with this Ukraine-Russia stuff, on at least that was my feeling on Bitcoin Twitter, most of people just suddenly lost their minds and went apeshit straight away. Maybe I have a different perspective, because I'm here in Croatia and I followed this stuff that was happening since even before 2014, but the war there has been going on for 8 years before now, and everyone lost their minds now because Russia went in, and this obviously is outrageous, and people are gonna react, but I was totally surprised that by the total reaction. I don't know what to say, man. It's a deep discussion, so I don't know where to go with it.
It was bad here. I don't know. I had a moment yesterday where I was just like it was my kid's birthday yesterday, right? And my mother came over my house at night to bring him a cake and some presents or whatever. And listening to my mother talk, she left, and I just looked at my wife. I'm like, how the fuck am I related to these people? How? She's just she was the biggest COVID alarmist. Oh my God. The kind of person that washed your groceries with fucking Purell and shit. It was so weird. And she came over last night and she's like, oh, it's just been really tough. I've been watching, the demise of the Ukraine on TV every night. And I was just like, why? Why? Why fucking come home from your day and just fill your head with that shit? Why? What? What the fuck is wrong with you? I wouldn't say that to her because she's my mother and I have a line of respect with my mother, right? I'm not one of those people that would talk to their mother that way. But in my head, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why? You can see it like over the last 2 years, just like wearing on her. Like all the shit going on with COVID just really wearing on her. And now with the Ukraine shit, I fucking pulled out of my driveway this morning. My neighbor has like 7 Ukraine flags in his front lawn. What the fuck? Like nobody cared about Ukraine 2 weeks ago. And like you said, this shit isn't new. Like Ukraine's been a dumpster fire for years. And nobody gave a shit. And then all of a sudden you have somebody that you can paint as fucking, they paint Putin like Hitler. I don't know. It blows my fucking mind.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, he's not. He definitely isn't a good guy. I think most people will agree on that. But man, like this shit, like is. This is complex shit that goes back to the Second World War, and it's a lot of stuff that you have to process to even begin to understand it. And but the corporate media, like, it just goes into the most superficial stuff. Yeah, I mean, if you just say like. Russia invaded Ukraine now, and you have to lose your head now. Yeah, obviously everyone is gonna lose their head. I mean, take into account everything I'm saying. I'm a fucking retard, so so I'm just talking from my perspective. Don't like.
This is financial advice.
Yeah. This is like financial advice for retards talking about wars or some shit. I don't know, man. Like, it's totally mind-boggling to me how they can just switch from narrative to narrative in the media. And when all of this started, obviously, everyone was shocked that Russia invaded Ukraine. But already when I'm saying, but like I have a feeling myself, like I'm trying to make some like excuses or some shit. I think it isn't an excuse, but it's you have to understand the history behind it and what was happening before. And I think the media does a terrible job doing that, and they just create total hysteria and. What is happening now, like we are 10 days into this shit or something like that, and when you listen to the media, they don't offer solutions, man. They just like, I have a feeling like on Twitter and on all social media, I have a feeling like people are just cheering this on and taking sides, like Ukraine, Russia. They want to be a part of one side or the other, and it's totally like weird to me what is happening, because I am from Croatia, for example, and I experienced war. I was a kid, but I saw what was happening, and I saw the consequences that happened from war years after, and this is not nice stuff during war and after it that happens. So
it's just bullshit. It's a bunch of people who have it. It's classic. As an American, it's classic American media, right? It's like, oh, we need to go do something. But when you say we, you mean other people should go over there and do something, because you're not going to leave the comfort of your life to jump on a plane and go fight in the Ukraine. Like, the shit they don't talk about is like, 4 times more veterans die from suicide than die in combat. Like, that's the kind of shit that people should be thinking about before they're so fast to just be like, we should send troops over there. Okay, well, the last result of us sending troops somewhere is 4 times as many of them killed themselves when they got home than died in combat. So you're going to send them over there, and we're going to have all these fucking people that die and all these people that have all these mental health issues and all this shit because you want a virtue signal?
Yeah, but man, like this is not the same shit like sending troops to Afghanistan or something like that. If you because Ukraine government is asking of NATO and Western countries to impose a no-fly zone. I mean, if you would do that, like it's a declaration of war towards Russia, which is a nuclear power, and that's a totally different level of conflict than I don't know, going than waging some proxy war somewhere,
Personally, I
So
don't think that shit's ever going to happen. That's my
yeah,
opinion.
my opinion is also that it's not going to happen. But I believe that direct conflict is not going to happen because, however crazy some statements and shit from these people are, I don't think they will ever even go into direct conflict, and even if they go into direct conflict, shit has to get totally desperate before any of that option. So, but anyway, my point was it's totally unrealistic, from Ukraine government to ask them to impose the no-fly zone, because they would have to uh, shoot at Russian airplanes, and that's a declaration of war. And if that happens, I mean, it's a totally. I don't know what the media is doing, because I'm totally surprised by all this shit, because it seems to me like everyone just is cheering this on, and just wants like Ukrainian civilians to die or some shit, because obviously Ukraine can't confront Russia in terms of military. So, and obviously NATO isn't going to get involved. So anybody who is like virtue signaling or some shit, it's weird to me, because you have to be realistic about this and think about what the best solution is. And for me, the best solution is to get to peace as soon as possible. And yeah, it's fucked up for Ukraine because it's geopolitics, man. But yeah, I think the best thing is peace as soon as possible, and they will have to agree, like Crimea is Russian, and these separatist regions that Russia accepted as like sovereign states or whatever will be that, and that's it. I don't know what's the end goal, but yeah, some shit like that will have to happen, and they will have to accept it.
Yeah, it's the latest fear porn is what it is. The world is so, I mean, at least the Western world is so addicted to like being told to be afraid for whatever reason that may be. And if you, all you got to do is look back. I mean, where the media is always spinning things into a constant state of panic, no matter what it is. Like, it's always been that way. My whole fucking life has been that way. There's never been a time where they're just like, yep, everything's good in the world. There's peace. Go about your life. Be happy. Don't worry about anything. Like, it's always You need to be afraid of this. This is why the government exists, because we need to protect you from this. And it's fucking fear porn, and it's so exhausting to just like once you realize what it is, it's so exhausting to listen to the latest narrative. And then you bump into people who, like, even prior to COVID, like I bumped into people I was friends with prior to COVID. And since like all the COVID hysteria and now all the shit going on with Ukraine, like you bump into them and it's like, it's the first words out of their mouth. Like not, hey, how you doing? How are the kids? How's life? It's, oh, have you seen all the stuff about Ukraine? Bro, who the fuck cares? Who cares? You live on the other side of the globe. Why do you give a fuck? Like I don't, it's this weird like America Captain Save-A-Ho shit that like all these people that virtue signal just feel like, you know, America needs to step in and do this and America needs to step in and do that. And it's like our fucking economy and our country is in such horrible shape. Like, how about we focus on ourselves and stop worrying about all the other shit in the world? Like, why don't we report and do news on some shit that actually fucking matters to people who live here? It just, I don't know. It blows my fucking mind. I didn't want to spend a whole fucking episode talking about Russia. I just.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, but yeah, it's obviously inevitable because it's last 10 days or some shit like that. It's like the main team and you can't escape it. So, yeah.
I mean, we got Dan Held. We can always just send Dan Held over.
Yeah, definitely. You always need a good termite expert. So yeah,
he's given urban warfare workshops, from what I hear, to the locals in Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it develops, but yeah, I see potential in Dan Held in Ukraine.
Oh God, our very own Rambo. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, man, like that guy can help himself with his takes. So
I think it's the whole it's the whole circle jerk as a whole, though. Like, you know, Dan Held, Peter McCormick, like, why do you? I don't understand why you think that because you have a certain amount of followers on Twitter, like your opinion fucking matters about shit that you have zero expertise in. You're just like throwing in your 3 cents, especially Peter McCormick. Like, you went from being like a statist cuck for fucking COVID to like a statist cuck for the Ukraine shit. And it just like, why are you even talking about this? You have a Bitcoin podcast. Like, why are you putting out your fucking, you know, telling people to go fucking stand with Ukraine?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know because like I'm blocked by McCormack, and I maybe saw one screenshot or some shit. But yeah,
holy shit, you caught a McCormick block?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Wow. He won't block me. I don't know. He won't fucking block me. I don't get it. He's never blocked a single account that I've had, and he follows the podcast page, which is super fucking weird.
You know, a weird thing about like McCormack is when I was, I don't know, maybe at the end of 2018, I listened to his podcast a lot because he had some good guests, but I always I couldn't stand the guy as soon as I started listening to him because he seemed really arrogant to me. And but I listened a lot because he had good guests. And about, I don't know, maybe half a year I was listening to him. And then I started, I think I joined Twitter in that period. And then I started seeing his takes and shit. And I couldn't stand the guy and stopped listening to him. And when COVID hit, and his statist views on everything. He was the only person on Twitter I blocked, and I only block ads and scammers, and he was the only person I blocked, straight up blocked. And I didn't even meme him back then or anything. I just didn't want to see his views or anything. And after a while, I unblocked him, and I saw again the same shit that I was seeing before. And then I started memeing him, and that was that period where we made those podcast memes and shit. There was a What Bitcoin Did meme template podcast, and we made a bunch of memes, and then he blocked me because of those memes. So yeah, that was it.
He just, I don't know. I don't understand the bad takes, just consistent bad takes. I don't know. He just always seems to I don't know.
Yeah, pandemic of the unvaccinated, man. That's it.
And it's just annoying because he always puts himself in the latest happening of Bitcoin, kind of like a traditional journalist. You know what I mean? I feel like this is just my take, but I feel like when you run a podcast, your opinion should be on things that have happened. If you're going to talk about things other than Bitcoin, and to inject all the shit that went down in El Salvador. That dude had no fucking this is my opinion, but the Bitcoin becoming legal tender in El Salvador would have had so much more impact and been so much more widely talked about if they had a decent real journalist talk to the president when it happened instead of fucking Peter McCormick in ripped jeans and a Metallica t-shirt.
Yeah, I agree, man. But yeah, he is here for his own clout, not for Bitcoin.
Bringing your girlfriend to introduce her to the president of fucking El Salvador. What?
Yeah, got to take the opportunity to take advantage of that historic moment for Bitcoin to promote himself, man.
Did you see the other day when did you see that he's going on the Meme Factory podcast?
No.
So Greg posted some shit from the Meme Factory page about how they didn't have a guest and who should they have on because they have a gap in their schedule for some reason.
Actually, I think I saw some tweets, but I didn't know what was that about. But it was because I'm blocked, so I can't see his tweets.
So I tagged Peter McCormick, and I was he was like, "Who should I have on?" And I tagged Peter McCormick, and fucking Peter McCormick answers. He's like, "Fine, let's do it." Oh my god. So he's going on the Meme Factory podcast, and yeah, you're welcome, Greg, for fucking grenading your career. Hans went completely batshit.
Yeah, I love Hans, man. He doesn't give a fuck. Whoever it is, he is gonna give his opinion absolutely, and I love that in people in this space. I mean, but especially people like Hans.
Yeah.
But I think he has a bit of unhealthy obsession, especially with Peter McCormick. But it's nice to see people in Bitcoin, some that are still like this. So yeah,
I see. I'm glad you said that. Right. So I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I feel like there's this fucked up perception that happens where people are like, "Oh, I'm a Bitcoin maxi," and because I'm a Bitcoin maxi, unless you believe exactly what I believe and the way that I believe it, then we're not friends, and I'm gonna block you. Which I think is fucking retarded. Like that's how you put yourself in an echo chamber. Like me and Hans are a perfect example, right? Like me and Hans do not get along about a lot of like individual topics, but I have a lot of respect for Hans because he's willing to like stand his ground and have his opinion.
Yeah,
He doesn't just
absolutely,
like
man.
take on the opinion, like the popular opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but how can you respect people who just have an opinion because someone said it? You can't have respect for those kind of people, man. I mean, you can tolerate them, but respect, I mean, you have respect for someone who stands up for himself, and that's it.
Yeah.
At
Somebody.
least from my perspective, at least.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that I don't. A lot of my people I consider friends that I don't agree with 100% of their views on everything. But I think it's important to like have people in your circle that can question what you may think about a particular subject because it makes you think. It doesn't just make you accept a certain narrative because it's a popular narrative, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I most of my friends, I disagree with them in a bunch of stuff, and we always discuss stuff when we meet. So we discuss stuff, and in most of cases we just agree to disagree. But we get through debates, and I think it's important to have debates. And that's the thing with this latest trend in the last couple of years with this cancel culture and all the bullshit. uh, I mean, people used to be able to talk like men and disagree, and at the end have a beer or something. And nowadays, like I have a feeling that if you disagree with someone on some petty bullshit, you are supposed to disown them or something. I don't know how people imagine life works in general. You won't agree with anyone 100%. So it's all really weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's a difference between somebody who is like a scammer and is wrong about something and they know they're wrong about something, but they lie about it anyway. As to like somebody that I just don't agree with, but they stand on their beliefs because they see the facts in a different light. Those are two different like categories of people to me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, and I think that the main thing here is the truth and honesty. So, if someone has an opinion and is honest, I don't have a problem with that, and that's great, because then you can have a discussion. But if, like you said, scamming, scamming is totally different stuff, because you know that what you say isn't truth, but you say it anyway. And yeah, that's totally like different.
Yeah, the McCormick shit. McCormick is a beautiful example of somebody who knows better but says dumb shit anyway. Like there's he plays the useful idiot, like, oh, I'm so dumb, I don't know anything. But there's no fucking way that you've been in Bitcoin for whatever 5 years or however long he's been around, and you're really close friends with like people like Jack Mallers, and you don't understand how Bitcoin works. That's just bullshit. That's bullshit. There's no fucking way that is reality. Like you
Yeah.
play the I'm so stupid because people are like, oh, the shitting on yourself to be a likable guy kind of fucking thing is just, I don't know, it's so fucking cringe.
Yeah, I think he plays on he's accessible to noobs. So
Yeah, but so is
he
this podcast, and this podcast, I don't have to fucking spend the whole time on the podcast talking like I'm fucking brain dead.
yeah, absolutely, man. But I think he likes this. He created a whole narrative around it, like he's accessible to noobs. So if he is accessible to them, he has to create the narrative about it. Then that Bitcoin is hard to understand, and it's hard to run a node, and that's total bullshit for me, because you're the point of a podcast, at least in Bitcoin, which is a kind of a new space and stuff. You would expect people to who are coming into this space to try and ease things or make things dumb down things for new people coming in, and instead of doing that to help self sovereignty of people, he just creates a narrative that it's too hard to do, and that you end up holding your coin on Coinbase or BlockFi or something. I don't know what after he shield.
Oh, your ledger.
Something.
Don't forget, get yourself a ledger.
Yeah, of course, man.
It's fucking clown. I don't know. I don't believe in sponsorship, like for anything where you're gonna set up some kind of a platform and claim to have an unbiased opinion, or claim to be at least be able to speak your mind. I think is total bullshit if you have sponsors. Sorry. Like, and some of my friends run podcasts that have sponsors. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying this just because of people like McCormick, but once you accept money from an entity, whatever it may be, that now automatically limits what you're able to say. Automatically.
Yeah, I agree, man. I wouldn't say it's I don't know, transgression that you can't get over if you have sponsors, but I think people will, if you listen to podcasts, you will get the sense if someone is shilling something because they have a sponsor, or they are honest about it. And yeah, but anyway, the best thing is if you are able to do it without sponsors, because then you are I don't know the English exact term, but yeah, nobody can talk shit to you like you are receiving some payments and shilling stuff. So yeah,
Trust me, as somebody that has a podcast, I wrestle with that opinion all the time. Because, like, of course, I want to just like, I want to approach companies that I like in the space and, ask them if they'll sponsor the podcast, or like accept sponsors when people reach out and want to sponsor the podcast. Of course I do. Like, I spend time doing this. Time is money and all that, but at the same time, like, I really, what it is for me is like, I like foundation devices, right? They make the passport. I love their hardware wallet. I don't want them to sponsor the podcast because I don't want some crazy shit that I talk about on here like come back as blowback against them. You know
Yeah,
what I
sure.
mean? So like there's this balance between like I don't want to be told that I can't say something, and the companies that I don't think would tell me what I can and can't say, I don't want to feel like in my head like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this because it's going to look bad on so and so that's associated with me.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, if you're not sponsored, you like to feel the freedom. Like if you want to recommend something, whether it's a hardware wallet or anything in this space. I mean, like you can do it without people telling you like you did it because it's sponsored and shit, and you can do it because you think it is the right way, and that's it.
Yeah. Like I can't, if I was sponsored by a hardware wallet company, I can't, like if I was sponsored by Foundation, I can't come on and be like, I like Foundation, but I really love Seed Signer. Seed Signer is a great signing device. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, and the same way with like any, anything else. I can't take on a sponsorship from fucking Wasabi and be like, I've used them both and Samurai is better. Like I wouldn't be able to say that if I was sponsored by their competition. So it like that's what I mean when I say like it limits your ability to like be honest.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man.
And
Agreed.
I think you should be able to call out whoever the fuck you want, whenever the fuck you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we do on Twitter, like us meme tarts. I
Yes.
think it's important to remain free so you can shitpost the amount you want and not feel complied to run the narratives or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, I want
So
to be able to talk
yeah,
about whoever I want, whenever I want, however I want.
yeah, absolutely. I think Bitcoin is that's what Bitcoin is about. So you have fuck you money, you have uh, fuck you expressions. If you don't like something, yeah, fuck you, man. That's it.
Exactly. I want the freedom to say fuck you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. Like and on Twitter in general, like you have a feeling always that people especially when you see new accounts coming through, you see like them copying tweets from 6 months ago or a year ago or some shit, and they all sound the same. And you see them trying to become influencers and stuff, and it's also lame, man. Especially if you spend a couple of years on Twitter and see all this stuff repeating and accounts repeating each other. Yeah, it all becomes so cringe, man.
The longer I'm on, the longer I understand people like Hans.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, man. Exactly.
Like I get why he just tazzes about shit all the time because it's like you watch it happen in reflection of price action. Price goes up. People who want to be influencers post things that get a lot of likes. And then, we watched it happen with AH and we watched it happen with Laser Hodl. And like, I'm just
Yeah,
waiting for the next one to happen. You know what I mean? Like, you say all this
yeah.
beautiful
Get on
shit.
zero, bro.
Yeah. You say all this great shit, and then like Bitcoin does what Bitcoin does, and then you're like nowhere to be found.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of wonderful what Bitcoin does because it's really hard to make a business on Bitcoin. I mean, you can do a scammy business, and you'll last a short while. And what's wonderful to me is it reflects long time preference, because uh, I have a feeling anything related to Bitcoin, always the long time preference remains. And all this bullshit and people who want to earn a bit of bucks talking about Bitcoin, or do some scammy business or some shit, yeah, they'll do it for a bit, and but in the end they'll get pushed out by the market, and that's the beauty of it for me.
Yeah, and I mean, you start to understand why all these other projects happen on shitcoins, because it's very easy to create a business that's profitable on a shitcoin, because shitcoins are just casinos and they're all about taking people's money anyway. Whereas if you're going to build something on Bitcoin that's useful, like, most of the time, besides people making donations to people that are building things, like, you have to do it because you really want that tool or that service to get out to the people for the right reasons. Like, you're not doing it because you think there's going to be a $10 million check at the end of the rainbow. Like the guy that I was talking to the guys in the chat about building something like a Spotify or that Odyssey thing that just I've seen recently on Bitcoin. And it's like, you have to look at that. The more I thought about it in my head, like, you have to look at that, like, the guy who built all the code for Spotify is a fucking millionaire. The guy who builds something similar in function, but on Bitcoin, is not going to be a millionaire. Like, he's building it because it's a decentralized tool. He's not building it because he's going to sell ads and metadata to fucking Google.
Yeah, man. Like there was a tweet from Steve Barbour today. I shared it in the chat. It was, I think, I don't want to misquote or something, but it was about this theme. Like developers on Bitcoin will work on something, find a solution for the benefit of the entire network, and nobody will give a shit. But someone comes in and makes a price graph that Bitcoin will, I don't know, pump to 500,000 next year, and everybody will cheer that on, buy newsletters and shit. And yeah, it's total bullshit in this space regarding that.
Yep. That should be like the number one thing I feel like anybody who's new to Bitcoin should know, is if anybody you're talking to or following is trying to get money from you in order to help you understand Bitcoin, you're getting fucked.
Yep.
There's plenty.
Although
way more information.
Someone might say you are against women if you say that. So
I am against women. I'm against women. I'm a racist. I'm not a patriot, because I said all those things about America at the beginning. Don't forget.
Yeah.
I'm a Putin sympathizer.
Yeah, I think we're basically, most of us are Putin sympathizers, because we don't care about politicians, and we don't give a fuck about wars. And I mean, I say we, I should say I, but yeah, I saw a lot of sentiment that's close to me. So yeah, I mean, if you say that right now, the narrative right now will be your Putin apologist or some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, 3 months ago you were a science denier, now you're a Putin
Yeah.
apologist. It's fucking,
Yeah.
it's foolish. It's
It
so
will
fun.
it will be interesting to see what will be in another 3 months or a year or some shit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be some shit like that, but it's gonna be different in terms of words, but same shit.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be it's just the how I'm better than you bullshit. Like it's the woke.
Yeah.
It's the woke
You're not
bullshit.
scared enough. You're not scared enough. You should be scared now. Why aren't you scared now?
Right.
I mean, yeah.
It's, yeah. And the whole thing, like, people are like, oh, well, Putin's a really bad guy. It's like, well, show me the leader of one first world country that's not a bad guy.
Exactly, man.
There's no politician that leads a first world country that isn't a huge piece of shit.
Absolutely.
It's like in the job description. To be a politician, you kind of got to be a huge piece of shit.
Yeah, I made a meme, I think 2 or 3 days ago, exactly about this. Like I put like a Ukraine headband on an NPC, and it was like a meme with 4 quadrants. And first quadrant was an NPC with a Ukraine headband, and the next quadrant was like the yes guy from a meme. Yeah, like Chad, yes guy. And the third quadrant, like again, Ukraine NPC, but with a mad look. And yeah, my idea was like they put on these Ukraine headbands and tell you have to support Ukraine or you're a Putin apologist and shit. And the yes guy in the meme says, I don't give a fuck. Zelensky is a cunt, Putin is a cunt, Biden is a cunt. So I don't give a fuck.
Yes.
And then he goes mad with his Ukraine headband, and the yes man just says cry harder, and that's it.
Exactly. That's what it is, though. Like it's that's the beauty of memes, right? The beauty of memes is like this. You're looking at one image, and in the fucking minute it takes you to look at that image and like process the information on that image, you get all the information that you need to get.
Yeah, man, that's why I like to give my opinion through memes, because I have a feeling like I express my opinion a lot better through memes. Maybe because also, I mean, I used to speak English a lot better when I was younger, but I got a bit rusty, and I kind of like express myself in English way better through memes than talking. So yeah,
your English is perfect. Perfect. There's nothing wrong with your English, Tony. Your English is far better than my Croatian or whatever your native language is.
Yeah, I'm gonna trust you on that.
It is. I mean, listen, there's plenty of people that go on fucking Twitter that have a far of a less grip on English. I mean, at least you don't have MTV English like Hans. You know what I mean? You sound exactly like the Viking that I picture you as.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, but honestly, when I was younger, I was like totally. I could imitate accents and shit, and during time, when you don't use it, I just like I just have a Eastern European accent now, and that's it. So yeah,
It is.
at least it's
It
funny.
is prime. It is prime. So tell me how did this is gonna sound stupid. So I want to say this for the people that are listening. Me and you have talked about this before, Tony. That when this is my take. When you're an American and you grow up in a small town like I did, America is the first world, and everything else is like dirt roads and potatoes and no electricity and barely have any running water, no indoor plumbing. That's just it's this weird fucked up perspective that you have as an American, right? So in my mind, I've always wondered how did you find Bitcoin? Because I think about Croatia and I'm I think about Croatia and the first thing I see is your avatar holding Borat's fucking wagon. Say, you know what I mean? That's how I see where you live. So, and I know that's not it. I know that's just my fucked up American perspective on it. But how did you find where did you hear about Bitcoin?
Okay, I mean, where are you? Do I answer where did I hear about Bitcoin, or regarding your story about how is it perspective, on the third world, or where are you now?
Let's do that first. So that I just told you what my perspective as a small town American is, right? So tell me first of all, what it's actually like. And second of all, what's your perspective of America not growing up here? Because that's very interesting to me. I've never even thought about that. How do you see America in your head being as you're from Croatia? And then we'll get into then I want to know your origin story. How did you find Bitcoin and what made you buy Bitcoin?
Okay. So the way I see America is I love American values in terms of I'm a guy who loves freedom and hates the government. So American values, American values, traditional values are quite appealing to me, because that's something that's an ideal to aspire to, and beyond that. So it's kind of I aspire to abolish all taxes and to have as much freedom as possible, And in terms of that, America is great to me, and but I think America is is a long way from those ideals now. I mean, I might have a wrong perspective because I don't live there, but the way things are going there with all this stuff with culture war and shit. I don't know what is even happening, but yeah, it's total bullshit. And in America's ideals in terms of capitalist economy are great, in my opinion, but the problem is America doesn't have a free market economy a long time ago, because you have large corporations who incorporated themselves with the government, and you have a weird thing with lobbying, which allows big firms to lobby with politicians, and them implementing policies whichever they want. And yeah, so it all converts to total crony capitalism, which doesn't have anything to do with free market capitalism. So it all kind of went sideways in my mind from those ideals which I spoke at first.
How did you see
So
it as a kid, though? Like, how did you that? I guess, yeah. So, like, how did you picture, like, in your head, how did you picture America as a kid? If that makes sense. Like, was it like it's
yeah,
portrayed in the movies? Like, everybody lives in suburbia where their houses are close to each other and everybody drives a new car and
no, actually, I mean, I developed like much like positive thinking about America. Um, the older I got, because when I was younger, I mean, I watched American movies and shit, but I didn't have that great opinion of America when I was younger. It kind of got to a better place when as I got older. So yeah,
was it um like a negative view that you heard from people that were older than you? Like, was it just like
no,
in
no,
general a negative view about America?
no. It's more to do with like my own personal development, because when you are a kid and when you are in school and college and shit, you don't know anything about the real world. And when you start working a real job and start learning for real about the world and how people work and how their incentives work, then you start realizing the structure of the world, how the structure of society, how is it best, how should it be arranged, and for me, uh, I developed this thinking only when I started working, because before I was working, I couldn't develop this kind of thinking, because I just didn't have experience in a real world, And when I started working, uh, this is a kind of a funny story, because when I started working, I took an internship in a firm which was mostly state owned, and Croatia uh, was a part of Yugoslavia, which was a communist or socialist country, however you want to say it. And this company I started working with was basically a remnant of that system, or how should I call it? Or it was still state owned, and all the shit how it was functioning is was the same like it was in communism, socialism, and shit. And when I started working there, and I will be eternally grateful for it, because I learned how incentives work, and how people function, and I learned a lot about psychology, because people there just didn't give a fuck. They didn't work anything because they couldn't get laid off. They were protected by unions and by the state. And I went in there like an intern, and I was totally unprotected. I was like a person like in a capitalist system, and they were like people in a socialist system. So they couldn't get laid off, and whatever I do, I I had to do perfect, if I wanted to remain there and work. And that was kind of totally eye-opening to me in terms of incentives, because yeah, it was totally fucked up. And I then totally understood why communism can never work, man.
And it was
So
sold to you like, and you were when you were in school and shit. I'm assuming because it's the same way that it's sold now, where like the younger kids talk about socialism and all that shit. Like it's sold to you like everybody's gonna work hard for the greater good, but the reality is nobody's gonna work hard because they're protected and they can't get fired.
I mean, uh, it's kind of hard to explain, because here, for example, when I went to college, it's not like these people are socialists, because Croatia was in socialism, and they're kind of opposed to it. But I would argue that all these people I learned from and shit, like they are Keynesian views, and Keynesian views have a lot of interference from the state. And when you learn about the economy from these people, uh, you you don't learn how incentives work at all. You just learn that whatever happens, the state can figure it out anyway. So it's yeah, at the end of the day, for me, it's total bullshit until you experience something yourself and learn about it yourself. So that's it, basically. And I think what you said, like what happens now in American schools and universities, yeah, they are sold that bullshit. And I think it's if you're indoctrinated in that way, it's hard to get rid of those thoughts, because especially when you're young and idealistic, because these thoughts are good for you, like good for the society, because it's great if everyone has the same, and everyone puts in the effort, everyone has the same. But if you know in reality how things work, this will never happen, because not everybody puts in the same effort, and not everybody is going to get paid the same, and it will never ever work. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it's the
rambling
same
on, but
bullshit. No, it's the
yeah.
same. You're absolutely right. It's the same bullshit that we deal with here. Like it's don't get me wrong. Like you just said, socialism, we'll just use socialism because that's what I'm more familiar with.
Yeah.
But socialism in its purest form, if every single person did what they were supposed to do in together for the greater good, sure, that's such a utopian view, that it goes against human nature. Like humans are not like that. If they were, we would have had peace 2,000 years ago, and like it would be, we'd have one country in the whole world, and there'd be no countries, there'd be no governments, everybody would just do the next right thing for the right reason. But that's
Yeah.
not reality.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, when I was working in this company which I mentioned, like I experienced myself, like firsthand, when you get people who will get their wage no matter what they do, you know, and they don't have to work anything for it. They will get. I mean, we get our wages here at the end of the month. Monthly wages, and he can like jerk off for a month and not do anything, and he will get his wage at the end of the month, and you can work all month like 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and you will get the same wage for the same job. And what's your incentive here? That's totally. You can do that if you like if you like work, and if you enjoy working. You can manage it like a couple of months or something, but then you will say, I mean, I enjoy working, but this guy next to me, he doesn't do anything, and he gets the same wage as I do. I will not do anything to out of spite, not because I don't like to work.
Yeah, exactly. It's, I don't know. I feel like that whole fucking system is fucked. I don't even know if we have time to talk about all that, but that whole
Yeah,
system is fucked when it comes to work. Work, in my mind, work should not be something that consumes your life. Work should be, there's a reason for it.
Your life.
Yeah, like I work because I have to. Like, other than that, like the things that are important in your life should be family and building a family and having, your own something to call your own, and like enjoying life. There's this, I honestly feel bad for the people. You see it a lot in Bitcoin. Like I feel bad for the people that are like moon boys. Like you want it so bad, like you think money is going to change your misery. But if you're miserable when you're broke, you're going to be fucking miserable when you're rich. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, great, man.
So tell me about how Tony found Bitcoin. Like in this world where there's like, you live in a potato field and you have like an oxen cart that you have to pick up and like drag to work. Like, where'd you hear about Bitcoin?
Okay, so first I heard about Bitcoin was, I think it was around 2010, 2011, something around there. And it was on Kaiser Report from Max Kaiser. And that was because I listened to Kaiser Report on and off since the time of the financial crisis of 2008, because I studied economics, and I was interested in those topics. And at the time, around 2008, I was interested in different perspectives and shit, and kind of stumbled upon Kaiser Report, and that's why I started listening to it, because it was interesting to me to hear a different point of view. And like I heard about Bitcoin first around then, 2010, 2011, but I heard about it. I didn't know anything about it, and I totally disregarded it. And I was a broke college student back then, so even if I planned to invest something or anything, I didn't even have anything to invest. Everything I had was like for pure expenses. So but I remember I was in college around 2011, and I was talking to some professor and this professor was like a young guy, modern and shit. And I was asking him, what does he think about Bitcoin? Is it a viable system? Some shit like that. And he just told me, the Bitcoin was between $5 or $10 at the time, and he just told me like, no, disregard that shit. It's a Ponzi scheme, so don't even look at that. And that was kind of funny to me now, looking back at that. And at the end, this was the start when I heard about it, but at the time I didn't dive deep or anything, and I didn't even know that it was a limited supply of 21 million Bitcoin. And I disregarded it for years, but in 2017, when Bitcoin started that pump to 20,000, I said, I mean, yeah, this thing is not going away. I have to take a look at it. And at the time, I was working, and I had some savings, and I started to look at it. And at the time, I thought it was a bubble because it crossed 15,000 and then went to 20. At the time, I was thinking like, this will pop and then I'll buy cheaply or some shit. But at the time, I still didn't understand Bitcoin or anything. I didn't dive deep. And at the end of 2017 and beginning of 2018, I started finding content about Bitcoin, like Andreas Antonopoulos. And then when I found Antonopoulos, then I found other people and stuff. And that's how I got into it. And when I got into it, I have to admit, at the start, I owned at the start I owned 90% Bitcoin, 10% shitcoins, or something like that, because I guess I was not immune to those scammers on YouTube and everywhere, and I thought I didn't dive into Bitcoin deep enough at the start, so I thought there's gonna be some shitcoin that has some utility value, that has a token or some shit that will be some kind of infrastructures. I fell for the narrative as some other people, and I was pretty much convinced about Bitcoin at the start. This was I bought 10%, so just in case. And but it took me about 5 or 6 months to realize that these shitcoins will never work, because they are totally centralized and totally meaningless in terms of all the functions they have. And then I converted everything back to Bitcoin, and that's it basically. So after that, I think in 2019, somewhere in 2019, I made the Twitter account, and then I spent around a year and something, just lurking on Twitter and following accounts and not posting anything. And then after I started joining in with memes and shit, and having a great time with shit posting. That's it basically.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. I don't believe anybody who says that they never bought shit coins. That wasn't like, unless they were studying hard Bitcoin in like 2010. Like, I don't buy it. I mean,
yeah, it's kind of hard not to go through that phase because I think that phase actually encourages you to learn more about Bitcoin. So it's at least that was for me. I don't know. I can't speak for anyone else.
yeah, I talked to a normie friend the other day who I haven't talked to in a while, and he hit me up on or I saw his name come up on Telegram, said he joined Telegram, and I was like, oh, and I sent him a message like not even thinking, and then he was like, who the fuck is this? Because it's my nim on Telegram. And he was like, oh, what's up, man? I only really use Telegram for crypto stuff. And I was like, instantly, like, I was like, oh. He was like one of my best friends, dude, for like 4 years. And I was like, he's like, yeah, it's all good. I just kind of, I missed the boat on Bitcoin. And I was like, like trying so hard to not just like, destroy him like I would somebody on Twitter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's but I don't know if I'm soft or something, but when you see shitcoiners on Twitter, you just shit on them and that's it. Like, no problem. But when you talk to shitcoiners in real life, at least me, I try to really talk to them and understand their point of view and turn them to Bitcoin. But yeah, it's a kind of a different perspective. I remember one time this one of my friends who knows that I'm into Bitcoin. So he had some friend who wanted to start buying some cryptocurrencies and shit, and this friend connected us, so we go for a drink, so I can explain some shit to him, and I go with them for a drink, and this was a couple of years ago, and this guy starts talking about some shitcoin. I think it was Hedera Hashgraph or something like that, and he said this guy was a physiotherapist and he was working for a club, soccer club,
So
and
smart guy.
and yeah and they were somewhere doing preparation for the season, and they went to Australia somewhere, and there he met some doctor or some shit who told him that he should buy Hedera Hashgraph and he will secure his future or some shit like that. And I told to this guy this guy told you that, but he's probably invested in it. He's maybe even some partner or some shit. He's telling you this because he's telling everyone this because he wants to pump his bags, And if you are buying into it, be prepared to lose everything. If you want to do something secure, please learn about Bitcoin. You can always contact me. I will explain to you everything I know, but yeah, there's no chance that this guy wasn't going to go all in, like in everything he has allocated to crypto was going to this shitcoin, and that's it. There's no help there. He just made up his mind, and that's it. And in my experience, most people are like that, and yeah, they have to learn from their own mistakes and then circle back to Bitcoin.
It's very hard uh to have a conversation with somebody and like explain in a way that doesn't make you sound like a cult member that like
Yeah,
Bitcoin is really the only thing that matters.
yeah. It's really hard because when people start getting into it, they don't understand what the blockchain is, and they don't understand anything about it. They just think because people on YouTube say this is decentralized, this is decentralized, this is decentralized. They just look at charts. I think Zhezhe put a chart on some shit like Nano or something like that from 2017 with like these simplistic features like transactions per second and I don't know some shit like that, you know. And that was the narrative back then in 2017, like transactions per second matter and stuff like that. And you know, when you know anything about it, it's totally ridiculous, but it's uh, totally hard to explain to noobs why transactions per second in a decentralized system are absurd talking point even. So yeah, I mean it's obviously no, so people don't get me wrong, it's obviously better that you maximize transactions per second, but how can you even start talking about trade-offs with noobs, you know? That's what I mean.
Yeah. And I think that shit is difficult to talk about with normal people too, because they don't understand how the system that they're involved with now works. So
Yeah,
if they
that's
don't understand what they use every day, it's very hard to explain a system that is better and how it's better if they don't understand what they're already doing.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and maybe while we were talking, this is the part I skipped, like regarding how I got into Bitcoin, because like even before I got to college, I knew how this system works in terms of fiat system and how banks do fractional reserve banking and that kind of stuff. You know how money is created. I knew this was a total scam way back, and that's why these things came natural to me afterwards. You know, and the problem is this topic. Most normal people, they just don't want to talk about it, and I don't know, it's kind of weird to me because I tried a lot of times talking to people all around, you know, whether it's when I go out, I don't know, have a drink with someone, or I'm in all types of situations. I tried talking about this stuff, but people, I have a feeling like they refuse these topics mostly because it's boring to them, you know. They want to have fun. They don't want to have this kind of conversations with you, you know. So yeah, it's kind of hard to speak with people about it if they are totally uninterested in it.
Yeah, it's I've tried you know, I've tried to have this conversation with my mother, and my mother in her life has done very well financially. Like from the time that probably like my late teens on, I was her youngest. So once I was out of the house, like she did very well financially. Like she was very smart with her money her whole life. Like she did what she was supposed to do. She went to work at a young age and she started putting money away in a 401k at a young age. And like did all the things in the traditional system that you're told you're supposed to do. And I like tried to have this conversation with Bitcoin about her, and she just like it does not matter what I say. I like bought her books and I sent her podcasts, and it just doesn't get through. She just like has no space for it. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like I was telling her, I bought my first like sizable purchase of Bitcoin was at like 16,000. And I told her then, I'm like, just buy $5,000 worth. I was like, and she's like having this discussion. I'm like, listen, answer a question for me. If you took $5,000 out of your 401k, could you still retire the way you want to retire and when you want to retire? And she said, yeah. And I'm like, so what does it matter? Like, maybe I'm wrong, but like, what if I'm not wrong? Like, what if you put that $5,000 in now, and when you retire in 8 years or 10 years, like your life is magnitudes better because you did. Like you're able to live the retirement life that you want to, instead of like, counting your pennies to make sure you can buy a loaf of bread, because that's the system that we live in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, I totally understand the mindset of your mother, and that's most experience I got when I tried the orange people, orange pilling people. Is that kind of reaction, but I'm really glad, for example, that I managed to orange pill my parents, and that was kind of great to experience. When I talked about all of this with my father, he just he doesn't know much about financial system and shit, but he knows intuitively it's a scam, and he trusts me. So when I explained how everything works and how Bitcoin works, he understood it basically intuitively, and he's good with computers and stuff, so he understood how cryptography works, and he said, yeah, that makes total sense for me. And he said to me right away, yeah, here's some money, can you do that for me, buy Bitcoin and store it for me? And I said, yeah, sure. And after that, he just every once in a while, he just tells me, calls me, tells me, you tells me that he wants to add some more. Can I buy some Bitcoin for him? And that's especially what's funny to me is like he gets it because he always calls me when a Bitcoin depreciates a lot. He doesn't call me when it's a mania. So I I add something. When Bitcoin falls, I don't know, 20-30%, then he calls me, I have some money, can you buy some Bitcoin for me? And that's it. Yeah, that's I'm proud of him in terms of that, but I didn't manage to I don't know how to put this, but explain to him that he should do self custody. He does it over me,
Yeah.
I hold it for him, but I explained to him how I left him instructions how he gets to his Bitcoin if something happens to me. But he isn't interested enough to, do it all by himself.
It's so the only person in my family that gets it is my older brother, who I can say I'm pretty sure is my fault. But like I watch it with my father. You know, I work with my father, and like I watch it in real time. It's so disheartening to watch him because he's pinned his entire life and like the rest of like his future on the fact that he's going to turn a certain age and get social security, and that's how he's going to live. And I'm like, you don't even realize that like the system is just gonna fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
it's never gonna happen. Like you're just gonna get fucked. So it's so hard to watch it like in real time with him, and him just like not want to do anything else because he's so sure. You know, we had talked about it in the chat, but like he not I don't even want to go down like the whole rabbit hole about vaccines and shit, but like he got the vaccine and was like all about telling me that I needed to get the vaccine. And like he got his second shot of the vaccine and he got really fucking sick. Like I had to take him to the hospital. He got wicked fucking sick. And you know, this guy is like the kind of guy that like could fucking chew up nails. Like he's just a hard motherfucker. Like everybody that knows him will tell you that he's a hard man. And I remember like driving him to the hospital, and him like he wouldn't even look at me, and he was just like, you know, when I was growing up and you went to school and they told you to get a vaccine or whatever, you know, you just did it because that's what what you were supposed to do. Like, you know, maybe I fucked up by doing this. And just to see like that defeat from him, just like it was like this very short moment of like, holy fucking shit, like maybe they're lying to me.
Yeah.
Like after believing in this system his whole life, to just be like, wow, like maybe they're fucking lying to me. And like it's so difficult to watch him go through it now with like the whole social security shit, and like looking forward to it. And you're like, I'm gonna retire on social security, and I'm just like, the way the fucking economy is going and the way everything is going, like you're gonna be fucked when that time comes. Like you are gonna be fucked. And he was the child of immigrants, so he has like this really, I get pride, but he has like this really strange pride about like his house, right? Like he lives in his grandparents' house. My grandparents came here when they were little kids, and his grandparents like bought this house when they moved to America, and he loves that house. And I was like, if you want my honest opinion, like, you know, he bought the house for $50,000 and it's worth pretty close to $1 million now. I'm like, sell your fucking house and retire. You laughed, but I told him that and he didn't talk to me for a week. He was like, you have no respect for where you came from, blah, blah, blah. You know, our family history means nothing to you. And I'm like, you're fucking retarded. Like, I talked to him like me and my dad have like a relationship like two frat brothers. Like I tell him he's fucking retarded all the time, and he like goofs on himself. He's like, yeah, I've been stupid my whole fucking life. I'm like, dude, you just sell your fucking house. Like you're an idiot. And I tell him flat out, I'm like, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but like when you die, it's me and my brother, and neither one of us have $500,000 to buy the other one out. So we're gonna sell your house. So just sell your fucking house and take your money. Like that was the best investment you made in your whole life. You didn't do anything else right money wise, but you like so happened to fall into this property that's now worth a boatload of money. Like fucking sell it and go to like South Beach and like, I don't know, finger a bunch of college girls or something. I don't fucking know. Now he talks about wanting to save Ukrainian women. He's like, I see them on the news. They look pretty fucking good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with saving them.
I said, you're a fucking moron. You can't even subtract without a fucking calculator. You're going to be up in the fucking immigration office trying to fucking cherry pick which fucking Ukrainians you want.
Yeah, but let me ask you something. Like you touched on it when you were talking about when you were driving your father, and he was saying like back in the day when we were told to get the vaccine, we got it and shit. Like, do my question is like, do you think when back in the day, or I don't know how long ago do we go back, but do you think that media and the government back in the day were saying the truth and thinking the best what is the best for their citizens, or uh, is it I guess my question is it changed from back then, or do we just now have more information as opposed to back then? You know, back then they just had I don't know a few uh, government backed or a few national channels which all spouted the same shit, and they all just believed it because it was on the television, and that's it. And now we have the internet and we can find sources and shit. So yeah,
So
what's your opinion about that?
so all I can speak to is like my experience with my family. I do think generally you had more good actors in the government establishment. I don't think it was as financially incentivized to be um somebody in government then as it is now. Um but that being said, like my my family came here because there was no opportunity where they were. Uh so like they came here and they worked really hard and they built a good life, and they came in like the prime era of like the American dream being achievable. So they came and there was this big promise of like a new life and the American dream, and they came and they were able to like see that manifest in their own life. So I think it made for like a really strong belief system that like this, America is all the things that it says it is. It's the land of promise and all these things. And I had family members who fought in the world, in the world wars in Korea, and like they very proud to be an Americans. Like as much as my grandfather came over here when he was a little kid, like my grandfather and grandmother both spoke fluent Portuguese, but they would never speak Portuguese in front of us when we were kids. um and if somebody in the house spoke Portuguese when we were there, my grandfather would like scold them, like you're in America, speak English, because they were afraid that like we were gonna be like looked at different because we had an accent, or and to some degree they were right.
Yeah, they wanted all of you to assimilate basically in the society.
Yes. So it was like, they were like a very proud to be an American like heritage, and the this I guess when you come here from somewhere that sucks really, really bad, especially at that time, like it's easy to come here and be like, it's fucking great here. Like it's
Yeah,
great here. Like they came from a place that, they had no running water, and like, they lived in like a little fishing village in the Azores Islands. So like, there was nothing there. And to come here and be able to like go to a city and like see all these big things and all this technology and all this stuff happening, it was very easy for them to be like, America's the best fucking place in the world. And obviously they just want what's best for us. Whereas, now that I'm like third generation, it's like this fucking country sucks. Like, it may not suck as much as other places, but it still sucks. Like the government still blows. And I think government is a lot bigger now than it was then. Like government wasn't as involved in your everyday life back then.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, I mean, I don't know if we continue this on podcast, but I have some views regarding USA in general. Like I have a feeling like USA was I don't think it's a coincidence, but it was totally prosperous country moving forward, until the Fed was established in what was it, 19. I don't know the exact year. Was it 12, 15 or something? And back then, and then they started getting into world wars, and then the growth of the country started to get funded basically by war, and then the whole world accepted that dollar was convertible to gold, and all other currencies were convertible to dollar, and basically that established US domination in the world. And then the 70s happened, and Nixon abolishing gold standard, and that's when it really went all to shit. So
it's actually funny. I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and like I remember my grandfather telling me that when he got back from Korea, he could buy a brand new Corvette for like $3,500, like brand fucking new. And he's like, I didn't, and it was like one of the biggest regrets of my life not buying it because it was worth multitudes more later on.
Yeah.
But I remember hearing stories of like, my grandmother didn't work and my grandfather was the only one that worked, and he brought home like $46 a week, and they had like a fucking great life. Like a great life. They, they owned 10 acres and they had a nice house, and like that was the life that they had on a paycheck like that. And like, so they lived this different experience, they lived this different experience where like you could achieve the things that, they try to sell you nowadays. And it's just so sad that we've become such a consumerism like society that nothing is sustainable, and like nobody lives to like pay their bills and then enjoy the rest of their life. Everybody lives to like buy the next thing and like paycheck to paycheck, and I need a bigger house and I need a newer car. And
everyone is stuck in a hamster wheel.
It's all fucking bullshit to me. Like I don't know. I never bought into all that. Like I was always like a cheap car, drive it till it's broke and buy another cheap car type of guy. I don't know. My friends went out at like 19, 20, 21 and like bought brand new cars. And I'm like, why? Like you buy a brand new car, you're going to throw a coffee cup on the floor the same way I do 6 months from now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be regarding cars, like I currently I drive a car from 97, so it's fucking 25 years old.
But you have a car, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have a car in a land of ox carts, so you're doing all right.
Yeah, that's true. But what I wanted to say, like, I put off for years buying a new car, and I finally am buying a new car. Like I ordered a new car at the end of last year.
But you waited till it
And
made sense financially. You didn't go with the American way and
yeah,
just like
yeah,
throw
absolutely.
yourself into a
I
massive
mean,
amount of debt.
no, man. I wanted to buy a used car, and I was checking up the market for about a year, even more than a year. And I realized the used car market in Europe currently is fucking insane. And then all of a sudden, at the end of last year, I saw an opportunity to buy a new car. I mean, brand new, and it made sense financially to me. And that's it. Like I ordered a new car, and you know, I'm a fucking Bitcoiner, and I wouldn't buy a car if I could, uh, if I could live without the car, I would fucking live without the car, and I would rather buy Bitcoin. But yeah, I need a fucking car for work, because I can't do public transit because it's a totally unrealistic thing for me because it's if I have my own car, it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to work. And if I go with public transit, it's something like hour and something because because my city has a terrible urban planning and and public transport. So yeah, it's not an option for me to not have a car at all. And this was the best option for me. And yeah, I didn't use Bitcoin for it, of course. But yeah, I will give up future stacking sets for that kind. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's important to not listen to your favorite influencer people, and don't make your life fucking difficult to fucking stack sats and like live in a box. And like life is for living, in my opinion. Like, yeah, stack as much as you can, but like don't make your fucking life hard to do it. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Anyway, Tony, thank you so much for fucking taking the time, especially at the ass crack of dawn in where you're at. And
Yeah.
it
Thanks
was
for
good, man.
having me, man. It was a pleasure.
It was great to have you, man. I've been wanting to have you on for a while, and it's good to just like get a different perspective than most of what you hear out there. Like, most of what you hear out there is from people who are Americans or people who are, Australians or Brits or whatever. And it was just cool to get like a different perspective from somebody who doesn't live in an area where you hear from a lot,
Yeah, I don't know what people will get from it, but yeah, yeah, I was glad to be on, and yeah, I was a bit drunk. I'm not gonna lie, but
Those are that's the best
yeah,
time to talk to you, though, Tony.
yeah, yeah. Anyway,
I appreciate
great.
you, brother, and I'll catch you on Twitter.
Likewise, man. See you
Later.
Fuck wasabi.